Please mute your video. Please mute your video. Those who have its own, please mute it. So friends, we continue with factors affecting plant growth. Yesterday we have seen what is plant growth and what are the major factors and how it is affected by different factors. So you can see here that yield depends mostly upon the growth, and growth is governed by, affected by several factors. So you see, there are a number of factors we have seen yesterday. Just I show you. In this, you have external factor and internal factors. Genetic factors we discussed. It is mostly in the genes. Means a particular variety, particular plant type will have higher growth depending upon the duration, depending upon the genes it has. And similarly, external factors like environmental factors, management factors, and socio-economic factors. In environmental factors, we have abiotic and biotic factors. In abiotic, we have wants, plants wants, water, atmosphere, nutrients means soil fertility here. Nutrients here means soil fertility, temperature, and rest of the soil. Soil is more than soil fertility. Soil fertility plus some other aspects and then light. Biotic factors are insect, pest, disease, and weeds, etc. These abiotic factors interact with each other. Even within abiotic factors, you have interaction. Even within biotic factors, several species have interaction. And after environmental factors, we will see management factors. Means this is your farmers' practices, or cultural practices, or agronomic practices is your management. And finally, socio-economic factors. So we started with abiotic factors. In this, we have covered temperature, and then we started light, I think. We started light or moisture. We'll see what we have covered. So just I flashed the slides. This is how soil factors, different factors interact in soil. We started temperature, and the practical limits is 15 to 40 degrees centigrade. However, it varies with the species. Temperature affects variety of physiological processes in the plant as well as in the soil. C4 plants have more requirement for temperature than C3 plants, higher requirements. And low temperature can also be harmful to the plants many times. Chilling or freezing injury can happen. And we have seen that nutrient uptake is also affected by temperature in root and shoot part. It is differential, it is interactive. And temperature affects soil pH also. We discussed yesterday how it affects. In summer, soil pH decreases. In winter, soil pH increases. And also discuss the growing degree days. You remember? And how it was calculated. And also we discussed thermoperiodism, influence of temperature or in diurnal temperature on growth of the plants. And not only this, we discussed also modification and manipulation of soil temperature. If temperature is too low or too high, if it is not ideal, then we need to manipulate it. It can be manipulated by alteration in sowing, amount of clay, one can increase clay. Sometimes it is a practice by farmers. They can bring clay from the from the ponds on the farm sometimes, and ponds are rich in clay, and that clay is mixed with the sandy soils. Moisture and irrigation for high temperature as well as for low temperature. Drainage can reduce the, sometimes there is standing water in the field, and it can be harmful to the crop because of water gets hot, so that water needs to be drained out. Mulching can be practiced to reduce temperature or to increase temperature, and intercropping, etc. Where is Chinmay Roy? Chinmay Roy? Absent. Chinmay Roy? Chinmay Roy? Chinmay Roy? Chinmay Behra? Chinmay Behra? See, I will not do it again and again. Chinmay Behra? Absent. Saptparni Day? Saptparni Day?
Yes, sir. Chinmay Behra.
Day is there. Ritambra? 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 Am I here to just to take attendance? Ritambra is absent, and it will not be again present. Sharad Kothari? I think he is away. He told me he has some difficulty. Sharad
Hello,
Kothari.
sir.
You are here? Sharad
No,
Kothari?
sir, I am Sujita.
Eh? Sharad Kothari? Siaram Meena? Siaram Meena? Absent.
Yes, sir. Sir, Sierra Mina.
You are here? Where are you? You are not seen in video? Okay. You have to be there continuously in the lecture. Otherwise, I will not take your classes. Okay. Siaram Meena is there. Subhasi Sarkar. Subhasi Sarkar. Subhashi Sarkar. Absent. Shravani Sanyal. Shravani Sanyal. Shravani Sanyal. Absent. Vinita. Vinita.
Present,
Absent.
sir.
There.
No, sir. Present, sir.
Vinita is there. Okay, sorry. Present.
Yes, sir.
Divya Puja. Divya Puja. Absent. Vipin Kumar. Vipin Kumar.
Sir, hello. Hello,
Yeah.
sir. Shravani Sakal present, sir. Sir, actually, it was unmuted. Sir, it was not open.
No, you can mute your voice. Can you mute my voice also?
No, sir. Actually, it was not sir, present, sir.
What is your name?
Sir, Shravani Sanyal.
Really, I'm not here to do this third class business, of taking your attendance. So you have to be there, or you need not to be there. It's not that you come and join video and leave it there and just do your other work. What is your name?
Sir, Shravani.
Shravani. Shravani present.
Sir, Divya Puja also present.
Divya Puja also has come. Okay.
Yes.
Vipin Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Where are you? Hello, Vipin
sir.
Kumar.
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
You are not speaking to me.
My video is on, sir.
Your video is not working.
It's on, sir, from my side.
Okay. Abhishek, Swain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Shang Patel. I'll take your attendance 2-3 times now. Shashank Patel. Somebody is quarreling in the room. There is some quarrel in the room. Shashank is absent. Atal Arora. Absent. Prakash Singha.
Yes, sir.
Prakash
I am
Singha.
present, sir.
Who are you?
Yes, sir.
What is your name?
Sir, Prakash Chandra Sinha.
Okay. Amlan is there, I think. Amlan.
Yes, sir.
Aisan. 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 Aisan absent. Ashok Singh. Ashok Singh. Ashok Singh. म्यूट करो आप।
Yes, sir.
ये म्यूट करो यार, इसे कॉमन सेंस नहीं है आप लोगों को, प्लीज म्यूट। अशोक सुदर्शन. सुदर्शन.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Monica,
Present, sir.
where are you?
Sir, my video is on.
Your video is on.
Yes, sir.
Avnish. 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 Santosh. Santosh. Santosh Kumar Prasad. Ganesh Patel.
Sir.
Present.
Yes, sir.
There. अरे ये म्यूट कर लो, म्यूट योर वीडियो। शुभ रंजन नायक.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm present.
Sujit Das. Devrup, you mute your video.
Sir,
Aisan, you mute your video. Das. वीडियो म्यूट कर लो, क्यों हेडक कर रहे हो जबरदस्ती। सुजीत दास, shame on you, shame on you. You are wasting unnecessary time. Yes. Sujit Das,
Present, sir.
what were you? What can you? Ten. Vipin, I think this is Vipin's video.
Vipin is here, sir.
So who is making this noise?
My audio was mute, sir.
Okay, so right now I don't know who is this. Ravi Saini.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Deepak. Deepak. Parth,
Present, sir.
Deepak, where are you?
Present, sir.
Deepak,
Yes, sir.
okay. Partha, Partha, absent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, Partho.
पार्थ क्या कर रहा था अब तक?
Sir,
I
video
made a
muted
call.
था.
Sorry. I made anybody else?
Sir, Shubhashish is here.
I'm sorry, but it is not mostly problem of the system. Many times problem it is our problem also. So no problem. It is our second day, and we need not to be that much casual actually. So be regular. Come in time. By chance today I was late by 2-3 minutes. That's why some problem came. From tomorrow I will take care. And I request you to be in the lecture. Okay. So we continue. See, half an hour we spent on attendance. Is not it shameful? How much time we have spent? Say 30 into 30 minutes. 900 minutes have been lost in attendance. Do we really value the time? Now we come to the next factor, that is soil water or moisture. So friends, we know that water is very, very important for life. Life cannot be there without water, you know. Water is playing variety of roles in our life, in plant's life. So for plant, it is necessary as a source of nutrient, you know. Plant need carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, out of which hydrogen and oxygen is supplied from water. It is giving you two elements, and hydrogen constitute about 6% of the plant weight, and oxygen constitute about how much?
45%.
45%. And it is necessary for your photosynthesis, the basic reaction in the plant which manufacture the food. So photosynthesis is very, very necessary for growth. If there is deficit of water or excess of water, sometimes this photosynthesis will be affected. And it, you know, protoplasm is the basis of life. And protoplasm, if it gets dry, our cells will die. So it is necessary for the hydration of protoplasm. Within soil, it helps in the movement of nutrients, in the availability of the nutrients, and within the plant system, it helps in the translocation of the manufactured food. And many times this water moderates the temperature also. You know, this transpiration happens, it moderates the temperature. Definitely you can have two kind of stresses of water that can affect the growth of the plant. There may be excess water, there may be deficit of the water. In both cases, we call it water stress. Many times we get confused that water stress is only deficit of water. Many times water stress could be due to excess of water, that is waterlogging, etc. So if you have excess water, except rice, most of the plants will be adversely affected. Their growth will be adversely affected because when soil is saturated with water, when soil gets saturated with water, oxygen comes out. There is definitely deficiency of oxygen in the soil. If there is deficiency of oxygen in the soil, variety of chemical, physical, and biochemical, and you can call it electrochemical changes also happen in the soil. There may be changes in chemical properties, changes in pH because of deficiency of oxygen in the soil. There may be change in the organism. The aerobic organism may not survive. They will survive only in aerobic layer. And next, the anaerobic organism will increase in their number. Similarly, decomposition of organic matter will not be oxidative. It will be kind of fermentation or anaerobic oxidation of the organic material. And sometimes varieties of poisonous materials are released into the soil. And those poisonous material can reduce the growth of the crop, which was supposed to get less water. So mainly because of microbial shift in microbial population, your production of certain harmful substances, and oxygen as such is important. You know, it is important for certain organism. It is important for roots. Roots also need oxygen. They also do respiration for their energy. So for nutrient uptake, for your this root activity, oxygen is necessary. So if you have water stress, there is deficiency of oxygen, and soil is full of water, but plant is unable to take the water. Yeah. जल में मछली प्यासी, like this, you know, पानी में प्यासी मछली. So because of this, all this, the plant growth is affected in excess water conditions. Most of the cereal crops like maize, sorghum, or pulse millet, they do not tolerate this water logging. So water should be immediately removed from such kind of crops. Your sugar can tolerate water logging up to 8 days or 10 days, but not beyond that. So likewise, there are many other, xerophytic kind of plants, or some mesophytic kind of plant, which are affected by water stress or excess water. And then there may be deficit of water. In this, usually there is closing of stomata. This is a modification or kind of adaptation by the plants. Reduced transpiration. Reduced transpiration is associated with the production of reduction in carbohydrate synthesis, reduced photosynthesis, reduction in cell division and elongation, and finally the reduced growth. You know, it not only affects the shoot part, it also affects the root part. The root growth is also influenced by soil water. So in deficit conditions, root grow deeper. Root try to go to find the water under these conditions. So overall water's deficit also affects the growth of the plant, mainly because of reduction in nutrient uptake and photosynthesis. And you see very classical example. Are you able to see it? Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So okay, thank you. So I asked one of you to explain this picture. Just you see on the x-axis, it is the rate of nitrogen application. On the y-axis, it is the rapeseed yield, the mustard yield you can call it, rapeseed yield kg per hectare. And there are two kind of lines. One is in dry land and other is in irrigated. So can you draw some inferences from this picture? Response to nutrients is moisture dependent. That is the theme of the picture. So can you do some analysis of this picture and see what is happening, what it is showing to us? Kindly come forward. One of you can come and unmute your microphone.
Sir, increase in yield per unit of application of nutrient is more in case of irrigated system compared to dryland system.
Yeah, very simple, very nice, good interpretation. So you can see there are two situations. The lower graph, I don't know, the lower graph is for dryland condition and the upper graph is for irrigated conditions. So on x-axis, your nutrient quantity, nitrogen quantity is increasing. On y, it is the yield. So you can see under dryland condition, the amount of nutrient is same, but the yields are about 800, maximum of 800 kg per hectare yield is there. But in irrigated, it is somewhere around 2000, which is almost more than 2 times. You can see more than 2 times. So it is because under irrigated condition, there is no shortage of water. Therefore, you get maximum response. But under dryland condition, crop is same, conditions are same, everything is same. Only difference is availability of water. There is no availability of water under dryland condition. Availability of, say, sufficient water, you can say. So therefore, yields are low. So the response to nutrients, many nutrients depends upon the water content in the soil. So they interact with each other. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now see another picture. See another picture. This is also very interesting picture. On x-axis you have available water. From it is increasing. Available water is increasing from left to right. On the left bar, left axis, this y1 axis, you have yield of the crop. The crop is what is the name of the crop? Increasing yield and decreasing protein. Barley. This is barley crop. So on y1 axis you have yield, on y2 axis you have protein. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rates of nitrogen application. 0, 60, 120, 180. And this is your protein, this is your protein, and this side, upside is your yield. And lower side is your the line which is going lower. These 4 lines, it is protein content. And this side, the y2 axis, it is yield. So come forward and explain this picture. One of you can come and explain what this picture is showing. Yeah, come forward.
Picture is not.
Sir, with the increasing yield, protein content will be decreasing.
Protein content is decreasing. He's right. He's saying as the yield is, one interpretation is as the yield is increasing with the increased supply of water. Increased supply of water, the protein content is declining. Very good. So in this case, first conclusion is that just you see the yield level, the higher side. As you increase the nitrogen dose, yield is increasing. As you increase the water supply, yield is increasing. It's simple. At highest level of nitrogen, 180, you have highest yield, followed by 120, 60, and 0. So this is first conclusion. Second conclusion is that as the moisture supply, available water is increasing, yield is increasing, yield is increasing. Now come to the another side, towards the protein, the lowering lines which are getting lowered. So in this case also trend is same. Protein is more when you have 180 nitrogen, then less 120 at control. It is the lowest protein content on the right side. So as you increase the water content, the water availability, as you increase the water availability or increase the yield, the protein content goes down. And it is also clear if you increase the rate of nitrogen application, the protein content increases. So therefore, many times in people ask for MP wheat. Have you heard of MP wheat? Madhya Pradesh wheat. Have you heard it? Because the quality is considered better. Wheat is grown in most of the areas in MP. Not most areas, but in some areas, it is grown as rain-fed crop. Or some parts it is getting very less moisture. Because of that, protein content is high. Because of reduced moisture availability under those conditions, protein content is generally higher. Therefore, that wheat, besides variety, that wheat is giving you better quality. Now in this, I'm also seeing this RY and R protein. What is this? R is correlation coefficient and small y is equal to 0.944 and R for protein is 0.723. What does it mean? Hello? What does it mean? Can you see on the right side, extreme lower right side, on the bottom right side, You see
That is the
RY
correlation
correlation coefficient, yes. So
with
suppose it is,
yield and available.
what does it mean?
Yield is
Is
more
the
correlated with water content and protein.
yield is high correlated with available soil water.
Available water content. And that is any student from agronomy? Vipin? Vipin?
Yes, sir. A line is showing here, sir. So I am not able to see the bottom of the paragraph, sir. This graph, sir.
Okay. Sorry. Actually, this is correlation coefficient between yield and water content. So correlation coefficient is 0.944. So what is the interpretation of this?
Highly correlated.
Highly correlated.
That is not enough.
Yield
Yield
is
is
94% dependence on available soil water.
Yeah, means this is not 94%. You need to square the value of R.
Yes.
You know,
Sorry.
you
Yeah.
first you square the value 0.9 into 0.9. You can do it 0.944 into 0.944, but for this example, I take it at just 0.9%, 0.9. So 0.9 into 0.9 is 0.81, isn't it?
Yes.
0.81 multiplied by
100.
यार एग्रोनॉमी को तो मैं पढ़ा चुका हूँ. I taught you already.
100.
Crop production नहीं पढ़ाया था. So
100.
multiplied by 100, it becomes 81%.
81.
So 81% variability in the data has been accounted by irrigation or by the available water. Remaining 19% remained unexplained. That may be due to some other factors. Is that clear?
Yes.
Similarly, that means it is strong enough, but take the case of protein, it is 0.7. So only 49% variability is accounted by this. Rest means 50% is accounted. Remaining means it is loose, maybe loose correlation. And we need to see the significance of this. This is just to see how long you remember the things. So, water stress and nutrient availability. You see, whenever there is shortage of water, there may be reduced diffusion, reduced mass flow, and root interception. Simply, if you get lower levels of water in the soil, all these three, nutrient movement or transport mechanisms, are affected by shortage of water. Now, in case of high or low water stress, just take the case of flooding, excess water. I think I already explained to you. Reduced oxygen supply, it restricts the root respiration, and it also reduces the ion uptake. Not just movement, but it also affects the uptake of the ion. And excess or deficit will result in reduced activity of soil microbes. If it is in excess, aerobic will vanish. If it is in short supply, even the aerobic organism will not multiply fast. They also need water to survive. You know, microbes are also living organisms. To live, they need water. And high moisture content is also related with the incidence of certain diseases, and enhanced activity of certain pests has been reported. So can we modify the water availability as a growth factor? Yes. If it is shortage, if you have water, we can apply irrigation. We can go for drainage of excess water. Mulching can be done to conserve the water, mainly to conserve the water. And sometimes it also helps in increasing the water holding capacity of the soil also, this mulching, if it goes continuously. And certain anti-transpirants can be used. It is the case of dry land. So any question up to now, any problem you have in this moisture or water as a growth factor? It is simple. If you have shortage of water, the growth of the plant will be reduced, growth will be affected. If it is excess of water, in that case also growth of the plant will be affected. So you need ideal range of water. And if in case of agronomy, students study water management course. There they know the value of water, water management, irrigation management, and so on. So any question up to now? Any point in your mind? All are there? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So now we go to light. Light is very important, friends. You know why light is important. Light carries energy also, and plants need light mainly for photosynthesis. And there are three important aspects in the light: light quality, light intensity, and light duration. These three parameters of light are important, and the light quality, you have colors, there are colors in the light. How many colors are there in the light? How many colors?
Seven.
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 Good. What is the difference in radiation and light? You get solar radiation, solar light. What is the difference between sunlight and solar radiation? Hello?
Sunlight has only ultra UV rays and visible light.
Good. Yeah. And
Solar radiation has
Yeah.
seven lights.
Good. Means radiation is bigger thing, In radiation, everything is there. Am I correct? Just check it.
Sir.
Check it. See the difference in
Yes.
radiation and light. So here we take one part of radiation, that is light. So in this, quality is a factor in growth. If you remember photosynthesis, in photosynthesis, people have done some research work on testing quality of light. Oh, you told me that there are 7 colors in the light. So which color will have maximum photosynthesis? Which color of the light
Visible.
maximum photosynthesis rate?
Red.
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 Red. Sure?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Red or blue?
Sir, blue maximum absorption of light.
Okay. So please check it. Please check it. I studied it long back. So I'm not sure, but you can check whether you get highest photosynthesis in blue or red light. But there is one more phenomenon that is known as red drop. What is that? Red drop. DROP, red drop.
Sir, if we mixed both red and blue, then it will be more than the single one.
Of 618
red or-
there is a fall in photosynthesis.
Okay. So please see it, please confirm it, whether it is maximum in blue or red. I'm not sure. Okay, you can check it, it's very easy. But least photosynthesis in which light?
Green.
Green light.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So, can we manipulate this light? Suppose, assume that blue light has very good photosynthesis or red light has very highest photosynthesis rate. Can we manage or maintain red light, just red light? Can we do it? Under what conditions we can do it? It is possible to have this
It's
kind of
possible
light only in greenhouse conditions, and we need to see the cost also, how much it will be enrolled there. So generally speaking, the rates of photosynthesis are different, but it does not have much practical value, because under field conditions you cannot supply just one kind of color of the light. It is also all white light, in the field. So it's only in academic interest, but not in practical interest. Next comes the intensity. Intensity is very, very important. So intensity, what is light intensity? Because light intensity is very, very important and it establishes the ultimate yield. This light intensity. What is light intensity?
The rate
The
at which
amount of solar
photosynthesis makes.
One of you, yeah, yes.
So the
Please,
amount of solar radiation falling on a unit area in a unit time.
good.
It is intensity.
Yeah, excellent. So intensity is like brightness. People call it as brightness, and it is measured as the rate at which light energy is delivered to a unit of surface or energy per unit time per unit area. Fantastic. You are very much right. So this is your light intensity. Means suppose light is falling on a particular surface, then how much is the energy transferred to that surface per unit surface area per unit time? That is your light intensity. So the unit of light intensity is Langley. Langley. Langley is the unit of light intensity. It is also called as density of heat. Density of heat. And it is used to measure solar radiation or incoming solar radiation. The unit was named after Samuel Pierpont Langley. Langley was the scientist. And one Langley is equivalent to 3 different units. You can see one Langley is equal to 1 thermochemical calorie per square centimeter. This is 1 unit. 41,840 joule per square meter and 11.622 watt hours per square meter. So 3 different units are there for Langley. So you don't worry about these kind of things. Just remember that Langley is the unit of intensity of heat. Light. Now you see this is Langley on the x-axis. Langley on the x-axis, it is increasing. On y-axis, it is the CO2 fixation or photosynthesis. So you can see for certain plants, the less light intensity is required. If you increase from the maximum or plateau of the growth of photosynthesis is between 0.5 to 1. But if you see the maize plant is performing better, doing more photosynthesis if you have more light intensity. But certain plants like maple or oak, they do not like higher light intensity. Some plants will give you more photosynthesis at higher light intensity. Some will give at lower light intensity. But definitely there will be some ideal light intensity for each kind of plant. Generally speaking, you can see these maple and oak, I think they are temperate kind of plants, orchard grass. So in that case, less light intensity, and maize is a tropical plant where by default you get more light intensity. And see one more about maize. This is on x-axis you have light intensity, I think, light Langley. On y-axis you have carbon dioxide fixation. So you see, as you increase this light intensity, irrespective of the leaf area index, the photosynthesis is increasing with the increase in light intensity. Now, can we manipulate if a plant is does not like higher light intensity? Can we reduce it? Yes, we can go for intercropping, mixed cropping, agroforestry, etc., where shading effect will be there. And this can reduce the light intensity. Some people do experiments by putting some nets. They put some nets to make the shade, and they see that which light intensity is better for one particular kind of plant. So this is how this light intensity can be manipulated. So light intensity and duration are important for crop growth. Photosynthesis is influenced by the light intensity. Production of small leaves, bud blades if there is shortage of light. Photosynthesis is stopped at high light intensity. Plants differ in light requirements. Certain seeds require light to break dormancy, like lettuce. So it needs light for germination. And there are certain physiological responses, I'm not going into the detail, which are affected by light, like phototropism, photonasty, photoperiodism, and photomorphogenesis. Photomorphogenesis is changes in development phases, photomorphogenesis. These four physiological functions of the plant are affected by the light. For details, you can go through any plant physiology book, that what is phototropism, what is photonasty, periodism, and photomorphogenesis. All these fours are affected by the light. And then light duration, I think you understand. Based upon the duration of the light, plants have been divided into three: short day, long day, day neutral. Can you give example of a short day plant?
Cotton.
Cotton. Anyone?
Cotton, day neutral.
Then
Rice is short.
rice is short day.
Wheat is long day.
Wheat, long day.
Good. Good. It is
Long day.
okay. Day neutral.
Maize.
Cotton, buckwheat,
Sunflower.
And what about
Maize,
soybean?
cotton,
What about
soybean,
soybean?
short day.
Short day.
soybean short day.
Good. Next factor is wind. So we have seen temperature, we have seen moisture, we have seen light. In all the three cases, you need optimum level. And these optimum level of these factors will vary with the plant, sometimes even with the variety. So we need to optimize all these three factors, whether temperature, whether water, whether light. The optimum levels of these abiotic factors will give you the best growth. Okay, so therefore, to the extent possible, a farmer should manipulate these factors. Now we have another factor which is abiotic factor, which is wind. So I think you can understand the role of the wind. It has positive effect. It has positive effect as well as negative effect. So what are the positive effects of the winds? What are the positive effects of the wind? The use
Pollination.
Pollination.
pollination, yeah, and circulation of air means circulation of air. Yes, wind is actually moving air. You know definition of the wind. It is the moving air is called as wind. So it circulates means if there is shortage of carbon dioxide, it will bring some carbon dioxide, and it may take away your oxygen. And sometimes evaporation also increases. If your wind increases, wind speed increases, evaporation also increases. So that may be a negative effect. So carries oxygen away from the plant, and it can bring some carbon dioxide. Less wind means less evaporation. Typhoons are the higher when winds are in very high speed. Typhoons. So in some cases, or in most of the time, if it is at slower speed, if it is at the normal speed, then it is not doing much harm. But if it is at high speed, if it is too windy, it can affect the plant growth. Mainly lodging can happen, and fruit drop and flower drop can also happen. You see mango mango, when this flowering happens in mango, definitely 100% farmers or mango growers are sure that once the crop flowers, they will definitely have windy weather. Lot of winds will come and they will uh, the fall of the uh, inflorescence will happen. Fall of the inflorescence will happen. So that way, it can reduce the growth. It can reduce the yield. Composition of atmosphere. So we have no control on the atmosphere. We cannot manipulate much. See, it can be done at a country level. It can be done at a regional level. If one particular farmer or a small area, agriculture area, if somebody likes to change the composition of atmosphere, it is not possible. But in the light of climate change, people are doing some research under controlled conditions where they increase CO2 levels and see how it is affecting the plant growth. So maybe some people are there from environmental science. They understand it better. So people have found that highest or best CO2 concentration on an average is 1000 ppm. If you increase beyond 3000 to 5000 ppm, it can reduce the growth. But up to certain level, if you increase the level of carbon dioxide from 400 to 800 to 1000 and so on, independent of the increasing in temperature, just see the effect of carbon dioxide, then photosynthesis rates increases. So, and there may be certain toxic substances in the atmosphere which can reduce the growth of the plant. Sometimes sulfur dioxide may be there, sometimes other gases may be there in the atmosphere which can reduce the growth of the crop. In Delhi, in Delhi, because of wind, some dust can come. We are already polluted. Some dust can come to our crop and it is more dusty. Our plants are more dusty than plants in rural areas. A plant in northeastern state or in Shimla is much more happy than plants in Delhi. It is just like human being. So because in Delhi you get lot of pollutants, they settle on the plants. So that way they reduce the photosynthesis rates. And then comes the biotic factors. So abiotic factors are complete. Now in biotic factors you have weeds. Weed can reduce the growth of the plants. They compete for light, compete for water, compete for nutrients and space. And certain diseases can also reduce the growth of the plant. And domestic and wild animals may also reduce the growth of the plant. They can go to the field, they can eat your crop, and growth can be reduced. So these are biotic factors. And then coming to management factors, these also affect the growth of the plant. And you got one subject totally on to manage these factors. And that subject is agronomy, agronomy. We call it agronomic management. Starting from sowing to harvesting, all the operations which are done on the field are part of management factors or cultural factors or cultural operations or management factors. So for example, I need not to explain each and every factor. Many factors you understand the role. For example, land preparation and tillage. How will it affect the growth? Land preparation and tillage, how will it affect the growth? Do we need land preparation or not?
Yes, sir.
We need
Yes,
land
sir.
preparation. Because now we got zero tillage or conservation agriculture also. So say 10-15 years before, we were saying that plowing is necessary for making good seed bed and good germination, controlling the weeds and for aeration also. But these days, because of conservation tillage, minimum tillage, reduced tillage or no tillage, the things have changed. So how to make draw a line between these two? Which one is good or which one is bad? What is the right answer.
Sir, if we want to tillage, then there will be formation of hard pan after 3 years.
Okay. So means the question is very simple. That should farmers, if it is too good, if zero tillage or conservation tillage is too good, then why all farmers are not doing it? There may be some limitations in this. There may be some limitations in, there may be limitations under both cases, friends. If you have too much of tillage, that is also not good. Even normal tillage sometimes may not be good because of erosion problem. It is dependent upon kind of region, kind of area, kind of crops we are growing, and also dependent upon season also. So, for example, in Kharif season, zero tillage does not work well. By force, one can say that it works well in Kharif conditions or rainy season conditions, but under most of the situation, people say that zero tillage does not work. And they also say that it does not work continuously. There needs to be cycle of tillage and no tillage. There needs to be cycle means for 1 year, 2 year, you go for conventional tillage, then you for 1 or 2 years you go for conservation tillage, or in one season you go for conventional tillage and in one season you go for conservation tillage. So results are not very clear. People interpret in different ways. Those who are working on zero tillage, they say it is good, and vice versa. So what we think at the moment is that we can go for alternate or kind of rotation in tillage can be gone. So sometimes, or rather many times, good land preparation is good for germination, good for aeration, and good for many things. Good for weed control also. So it affects the growth. Tillage affects the growth, and you can interpret in the way I explained to you. Then selection of variety, you got different yield potential of variety, different growth potential of variety. I discussed with long duration variety yesterday, short duration variety. So growth is influenced by the variety. Hybrids will have more growth than no, and also the selection of variety will also depend upon insect pest and disease resistance. So growth is affected by the variety. Then seed quality. Better the seed, better will be the growth. Poor quality seed, poor growth. Means because of germination. Once the seed has germinated, and if it is not carrying disease, then it is immaterial. But the poor quality seed can carry some disease things. Seed treatment can improve the growth. Nutrient management can improve the growth. Because this course is on nutrient management, so we will discuss this issue in detail. Everybody will take lectures on nutrient management, how it affects the growth of the plant. Disease, insect, pest, weed, reduce them, control them, your growth will be better. Follow the crop rotations, then you can have good growth. Stop soil erosion, add organic matter into the soil, and manage your acidity, alkalinity, or problem soils. The growth can be improved. Water management, efficient water management can improve the growth. Then coming to the socio-economic factor. Is it clear this agronomic factors, they are simple to explain? Any question on agronomic factors? Was that all right?
Yes, sir.
So in field conditions, most of the plants are coming under which category? Shade loving or light loving?
They are light loving. All are light loving, and because we are in India, our as we are tropical country, so we can divide it into three areas: tropical regions of Assam, Tamil Nadu, coastal areas. These are our tropical parts: central India, western India. They are tropical areas. Subtropical area are mostly north. North is starting from east to west, subtropical areas, and temperate areas are in extreme north. So this is how we can broadly classify India. So under all these three different conditions, we got different kind of plants, even each condition. For example, this haldi, you know, haldi.
Yes,
Haldi is traditional Indian plant, which is shade loving, and it can be grown in tropical conditions also, subtropical conditions also, maybe in temperate conditions also. So most of our plants are light loving plants. Shade loving plants are some grasses actually, some grasses like I forgot the name, but in Kerala state, in Kerala or maybe in some other coastal states, they are growing, uh, going for agroforestry system. In agroforestry system, they have grasses growing uh, beneath the trees as intercrops or mixed crop, you can call it. And these grasses are used as a good animal feed, and they grow shade-loving grasses. So they are by default, those grasses perform better under shades. If we grow them outside the shade, means in more light intensity, then their growth will be affected. So this is nature, basically this is nature of the limit of tolerance or minimum requirement of light intensity will vary with the plant. It is in their genes. They like to have shade. Some like to have the more light intensity. So we cannot generalize that all these plants are shade loving or light loving, something like that. Any other question? Socioeconomic factors in this: lack of availability of input, seed, fertilizer, pesticide. Particularly if these inputs are not there, if farmer is not having good seed, it is economic factor because he has no money many times. And farmers, some farmers may have some money, big farmers. So those farmers generally who can afford good quality seed, good fertilizer, good pesticide, in that condition, the growth will be means farmer who are rich, they can afford expensive inputs and they can employ them and produce better crop. Credit facilities are important for the farmers. If sufficient credit facilities are there, so indirectly he can buy some inputs that can improve the growth of the crop. Adequate information on prices of inputs and produce. These factors also affect the growth of the plant. Poor marketing system, land holding size, education background. Mostly farmers are not literate, so they cannot use inputs judiciously. I can give you one example. Even today, many farmers who are illiterate and who have no idea, they use DAP in the standing crop. You know, DAP is very common fertilizer these days. A student from soil scientists might be knowing that for last say 15-20 years, the consumption of single superphosphate as a source of phosphorus has declined. Do you agree to it? The consumption of single superphosphate is declining year after year, but the consumption of DAP is increasing as a phosphorus source.
Yes.
So many times I have seen, and it is a truth also, that farmers broadcast DAP in the standing. So it is because of educational background. They do not have knowledge. But do you think that it is a good practice to go for broadcasting of DAP? Would you recommend it? If farmers are spreading DAP on the surface of the soil, it is going to be not of much significance. It is not going to be useful because phosphorus likes to remain near the roots. It likes to remain near the roots, and it hardly moves 1 inch or less than 1 inch in soil. So if you apply it on the top of the soil, it will remain there. It will not percolate, it will not move, and it will not go to the roots. It is lazy like many of you. So it will be useless. It needs to be applied near the seed or near the roots, isn't it? So it is because of education. So in that case, he will not get good response to first. So growth will be affected. But other farmer who has applied it as basal at the time of sowing, phosphorus is always applied basally. So then it is useful. Even in basal, you need to apply it in the furrows. If you broadcast DAP, if you broadcast DAP in the soil, its fixation will be more. If you apply it in furrow in the minimum contact of the soil, if it comes, then its abscency will be more. So this is all related to education of the farmer. There are many practices which farmers are doing badly because of their poor educational background. Economic conditions of the farmer. Hello. Hello.
Can't hear.
Hello, come karo, speaker come karo. Thank you. So this economic condition of the farmer is also important. As usual, means the farmers whose economic status is not good, his crops are also not good. Many times it is observed. So any question on this? Any question on this? I will call just two people randomly to see if they are there. Please, Kumar. Abdul Kumar. कहाँ सो रहे? सुजीत दास. सुजीत दास. Sujeet Das. Where are you? Sujeet Das.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Can I see you?
Sir Sujit Das.
Okay. Kajal Arora.
Yes, sir.
You are there. Okay. So friends, now we start new topic. So can you download these presentations from the Microsoft team? I put certain presentations, certain files on Microsoft team. Are you able to download them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I put some papers on this Microsoft team also. So you can download some interesting papers like history on neem. You can see if you want to know little more on neem coated urea, on soil fertility, on organic agriculture, some aspects like this. Pulses are very important in soil fertility. So now we start the topic soil fertility, for which this course is there. So today we'll start discussing what is soil fertility, what is the difference or similarities between soil fertility and productivity. We'll see how fertility is important for sustainable agriculture, how it can be component of sustainable agriculture, and what are the different classes of soil fertility, how it can be divided into different classes. Then followed by components of soil fertility or factors affecting fertility of the soil, and how to control those factors, how to overcome those problems. This is the subject matter of this lecture. Starting from soil fertility, most of the times students or soil scientists say that it is the status of nutrient in the soil, or normally they call it inherent capacity of the soil to supply plant nutrients in adequate and balanced quantities so that plants growth is good. This is your soil fertility. It includes chemical, physical and biological properties of the soil. And this property is manageable soil properties. Soil fertility can be managed by farmers, can be managed by individual. See more definitions of soil fertility. A fertile soil contains an adequate supply of all the nutrients required for the successful production of plant life. So this is another definition of soil fertility. I think most of you remember. It is basically the status of plant nutrients present in the soil. That is your fertility in a very narrow sense. It is there in very narrow sense. If you take the broader sense, the definition given by Somani, I think it is the perfect definition of soil fertility. It is overall ability of a soil to support vigorous crop growth. Means fertility should support vigorous crop growth. Means sufficient. Here vigorous means does not mean too much. Here vigorous means sufficient crop growth by ensuring adequate plant nutrients. Means good supply of nutrients and suitable conditions for water uptake. Your soil fertility should have optimum levels of water. Otherwise, these nutrients will not be available to the plants. And it should have favorable conditions for root growth and development. So here Somani has added two more things. One is that suitable conditions should be there for water uptake. And other is, hello?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can you hear me, please?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he has added two conditions. One is that nutrient availability should be there, and that is useful when you have soil in such a condition that it can increase the uptake of the water also. Suitable conditions for water uptake, and by providing favorable condition for root growth also. If a soil is not providing ideal condition of root growth, then we can't say it is fertile. This is definition by Somani. So you can find many definitions of soil fertility. But as a student, if somebody asks you, just you simply say it is status of nutrient present in soil that can be supplied to plant in optimum and adequate amounts. Optimum and adequate or balanced amount. Is it clear? There are three keywords or four keywords: inherent capacity of the soil, number two, plant nutrients in sufficient and in optimum and balanced supply. So you can repeat. So a fertile soil is essential for optimum productivity, profitability, and even protection of groundwater quality and soil from erosion. So definitely there is no doubt about it that a good fertile soil, highly fertile soil is good for optimum productivity, definitely profitability, and even protection of groundwater. So I want to know from you how a higher good fertile soil will protect the groundwater. How a fertile soil, good fertile soil, will protect the groundwater. Fertile means it has sufficient level of nutrients, plant nutrients. Just assume it. So how it can protect the groundwater? Or how it can protect the soil from erosion? Any idea? Just, are you present, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Soil
sir.
is,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
soil
sir.
is fertile. Soil is fertile, and I am saying that a fertile soil protects the groundwater quality. Means it will not make it
Sir,
worse.
fertile soil means more root growth,
Root
then
growth will be
will
more.
hold the
One person at a time. Yeah.
sir, fertile soil means more root growth, and that will hold the soil more tightly.
Yeah, you are
That will
reaching.
reduce the soil erosion.
Good. You are reaching to the point. Means if your soil is fertile, the first thing is that fertile soil, you will have very vigorous growth, good growth of the crops. Good growth also include good root growth, which can protect it from erosion. And also the nutrients which were in available form can be removed by the plant, not by the percolation. Means plants will not leave anything for the percolation. This is just one small reasoning. Otherwise, if this particular soil is fertile, because there is very less leaching of nutrients. It is fertile. Otherwise, there is continuous leaching of the nutrients from the soil. That means it will not remain fertile. So it means this soil is protective to leaching, or this soil is, you see, tolerant, or I can't say resistant. There is minimum leaching of the nutrients, therefore it is fertile. And also minimum erosion from the soil, therefore it is fertile. Otherwise, if it happens, then it will not remain fertile. So therefore, we can say a fertile soil can protect the groundwater as well as soil from erosion. The poor soil has become poor because it has allowed leaching. It has allowed leaching. It has allowed erosion. Therefore, it has become poor. So I think we will continue tomorrow, and I stop recording. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Try to be regular. Try to
Thank you.
present. This is for you, and I can tell you, we'll do our best. We'll do our best to teach you. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Any question? Any question? Any point of discussion? Have a nice day. Please try to come to the classes. We are not your enemies. We are supporting you. Just respect us. And this is for you, not for us. You are matured enough. If you do not study this, if you do not study this or any class for 1.5 hours or 1 hour, then we will not lose anything. And many of you will lose. So I think such issues should not be discussed at all. Attendance should not be taken at all. You are mature people who will teach. You are not child. Just you think that if you don't attend the class, you will make yourself study. I assure. I want to tell you based upon my experience, the class teaching, class study is much better than the self study room. Otherwise, why there was need to open universities and colleges? One could have done degree in home. Why you have come to Delhi from far away places? Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice day. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
Remember,
sir.
I put many people on absent today. I'll not make it present. Those who were present, they will get it. I already taken attendance. Thank you.